Hey everybody, welcome to Executive Zone. My name is Edwin Zapata, and we have a lot to cover today because there's been a lot happening over this Thanksgiving Black Friday weekend, and a lot has happened, and there's a lot of fear going on in the markets. And we're gonna get started right away with this article because I came across this and I just had to share it. Right now, the Bank of Canada is talking about digital currency, which a lot of countries, a lot of nations are actually talking about. And here's the funny part, because although the whole point of cryptocurrency was for it to be decentralized. When you have the Bank of Canada, you have the US, you have Russia, you have China, all these countries talking about making their own cryptocurrency, it starts to really show you how afraid they are unless they've been preparing for it. And the funny thing is, if you really put things into perspective, the banking system has always been kind of its own cryptocurrency. Not like how it is now, but if you go to the bank, for every dollar that they have in the bank, they can actually lend out 10. So all those numbers you see on your credit card, line of credit, in your bank account itself, those are all digital numbers. They don't actually, those dollars don't actually exist. They just print. It's like their own cryptocurrency. But because now the people have basically been able to take hold of things, this is their way of resetting things. That's how I see it. So, the more that they start to get involved into this space, the more it's kind of like you really got to put yourself on the radar with what's going on, especially as they start to bring in more regulators. So as you can see here, this is one of the regulating bodies, IROC, which monitors these things like the securities and all that, because the Canadian watchdog started to notice different campaigns and stuff of people promoting different cryptocurrencies, and they start to see it kind of like gambling. And these are basically like the meme coins and the way that they advertise things, because they're starting to see it like a casino style. So because it is the wild wild west, they're looking at it like, hey, we have no foothold here and we have no way of controlling this. So as you allow Big Brother to really set foot into the as they step foot into the crypto space, it's really like a like edgy territory, I'd say, because as they put their claws into things, we're giving the control back to them. And all of this fear, this uncertainty, you have people that come in blind and buy nonsense and then get screwed. And then they go crying back to daddy saying, hey, can you bail us out? And this is what's going on. So you're going to have to be very careful when you're allowing the old school regulatory bodies to step in, because okay, it's great that we have all of these decentralized exchanges, and that's what they're for. The whole point is for things to be decentralized. But when you allow centralized exchanges to start, allowing themselves to be regulated, you start to rebuild the bridge, and the whole point was to disconnect. Okay. Then when you have places like Russia, for example. So Russia is actually a big player in the crypto space. And this is something I didn't really know. I knew that they had things going on with mining, but when you start to have them report since July on them being like over $5 billion per year in the crypto space, that's their people plus the mining that they're involved with. It's really starting to show you how much of a big player they really are. So you can see here from the article that the Russia Central Bank is starting to really pick up how their people are involved in cryptocurrency, regardless if it's Bitcoin or other tokens and other coins. But they have their own play in this as well, and they have lots to say, right? And they've been sanctioned before for other things not related to crypto. And Russia's been self-sufficient because they have their own petroleum and they do things on their own. They ended up doing their own stuff without having to rely on the states. And because they partner with China, you're gonna have to like really look at things. What is it that they're doing? Because if China is banning crypto and Russia is not, like what's being positioned, right? So do they have more leverage? Is there something that we don't know? We'll have to wait and see, because even Russia is talking about their own cryptocurrency as well, just like Canada, just like the US, and just like other countries around the world. So is this going to be something that's decentralized? Probably not, because they want to have control. That's usually what it comes down to. Now, with Forbes, I found this to be very interesting because with Forbes, they're talking about inflation. Now, inflation is nothing new. For those of you that have been involved with educating yourself in the financial markets, you know that inflation is something that has been around. It's part of things, and the more that they print money, the more the inflation increases. So it's not a secret. It's not a secret that having your money in the bank is pointless because you can't fight inflation. If inflation it averages out around 4% a year, and they're giving you maybe 0.05% a month on your account, then having your money in your bank account is actually depreciating in value. So here's where things get tricky, because if they're now just putting it out there, and we already know that whenever they talk about something in the media, it's probably way worse. Because if they're telling you now that inflation is here to stay and it's getting worse and it's going to stick around for a while, you might want to brace yourself. And this is something that some friends of mine and I were talking about since last year, 2020, on how things are going to get way worse. Hopefully it doesn't get to the point of like World War II and like Venezuela with regards to like overprinting, which we're kind of seeing that now. But since most of the money has been printed lately, it's kind of a scary situation to see, because if for example, if they keep printing money the way that they are, then it's only inevitable that Bitcoin's going to be over 100,000. For it to reach over six figures, it definitely will, but that's because of inflationary reasons. Now, consider everything else in terms of all the uses that crypto has. Then it just makes it that more exponential. But what if things crash? See, that's really the tricky part, because if things crash, if the dollar crashes itself, then that's where you can't even take your money back out. And then that kind of becomes the whole point of crypto, because then why would you even want the dollar? So whatever cryptocurrencies you have, that's what we're going to be trading with. And that's kind of the whole point. Hey, what if that was their plan all along? So inflation is definitely here to stay. And for those that aren't, obviously it's here to stay. But for those that aren't positioning themselves properly, they're going to be really left behind, and they're going to be screwed hardcore. Now, when it comes to the regulations, you can see here that with this article, I forgot where I saw it. The announcement doesn't affect. So basically, they're in the U.S., right? The U.S. banking regulators are trying to find ways to regulate things in different aspects, which we already know because you see it in the case with XRP. The SEC is like trying to like find things and like basically screwing over the XRP and Ripple, and they're trying to set an example with them. And it's not going to stop there, but it's definitely they're going to come after everybody else. Once that case is done, they're going to take whatever they learned from that case, I guarantee you, and they're going to come after other things. They're probably going to come after meme coins and stuff next, because then they can screw all those people because they know that there's lots of money there. They have their own agenda. Who knows what it is? We're going to see. We're going to find out one way or another. But they basically, in this article, talk about how they're already planning their regulations, right? How they already have things mapped out for 2022, and they already have an idea. So if you think that things are just going to be over soon, nice try, because if they are missing out on money, they're going to come after it. All right, so you should definitely always be taking profits and be safe, and watch out for Tether, because it's potentially a ticking time bomb. So if you're going to be putting your money in stable coins, I personally wouldn't suggest it at this moment. Now, when it comes to the crypto space, I just thought I'd point this out because I saw this about the Gap, right? And basically the Gap is like going through their own hard times, but the reason why I pointed this out is because with what's going on in the world today with NFTs and stuff in crypto, when you have a company like this, Gap, and they're not doing too well, or not doing as good as they could, Kanye West actually partnered with Gap a few months back. You can look it up on YouTube. Here are just a few a few videos about it. He was recently on Drink Champs and he talked about his partnership. So take this in, and big credit, shout out to Nipsey Hussle, R.I.P., because he was actually one of the first artists to really incorporate crypto into his clothing. And so Kanye West hasn't mentioned this, but let's say his brand, and this is the important thing of building your own brand, by the way, where you have influence. So he stepped in. He wants to make clothes affordable for the people. Change the world. He has his own goals, his own mindset. But let's say him with his brand, and then the Gap. He comes in, he makes his own brand. Okay, elevates it. Now throw into it with what's going on in the crypto space. It's such a delicate time because if he were to just make NFTs with his clothing tied to the Gap, those will sell like this, right? Whatever situation they're in now, this is probably the best thing they could have done. And I just wanted to point this out because things are so infant right now. Things are so fresh in the crypto space in the world. It's like a pivotal point where you can actually use your brand to build anything, to really scale up. And if you have that built, especially with Web3 coming and being more developed, you can really create anything. And it's going to last forever because in the near future, like starting now, everything's going to be NFT related. You're going to have your house, you're going to have airplane tickets, concert tickets, your clothing is going to be AR and metaverse related. Everything's going to be all tied together. So this is how important something like this is, and it's never been a better time to build your brand than now. So if you have the opportunity to do so, I'd recommend it. It's kind of a random article, but just thought I'd throw it out there because if you start to see how patterns go, I bet you anything he's going to come out with his own NFTs anytime soon. Kanye West is one to really go against the grain. And what better way to stick it to them than by making his own NFTs with AR clothing? So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Thanks again for sticking around. And make sure you check out my TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and all that stuff. I'll share it all here. So thanks for sticking around. My name is Edwin Zapata, and I'll catch you later.